Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger. I am Vashi V, and joining me today is.
Right. Happy Halloween a week ago. uh,
So I have to ask,
mhm.
how many Halloween episodes have we had?
In Sentai,
Like, canon episodes, not like the Spectre Ghost movie
um,
or the Zeo Ghost movie. I mean,
what series was it that had the rapping pumpkin?
wasn't that Power Rangers?
No, there was another one recently. Ryu Soldier.
Okay,
Was that a Halloween episode or was that just a Halloween nod?
I think that was just a Halloween nod because typically
Uh,
all they ever do, so in my head, this is the only true, honest Halloween episode.
I mean, it's the only one I can think of. We usually just get a Christmas episode.
Right. Like this is the first one that I remember seeing the actual words Happy Halloween. Which nice to know they put that in English.
Well, I mean, they do the same thing with a Christmas.
Well, yeah, but Christmas one makes sense.
And,
Mainly in the aspect of I am very aware that they celebrate Christmas. I was completely unaware that they actually celebrated Halloween outside of like haunted houses and shit.
never really gave it
But to
any
me,
thought.
right, because to me, like the haunted houses stuff and like all that was just more they're culturally focused around like spirits and stuff way more than we are.
So, it's the Kikai Noids' first Halloween, so they're setting up Colorful to hand out candy to the kids when they come. And then just a huge crowd of people comes in and storms the place and steals all the candy.
Led by Mr. Stu.
Uh, and so, it takes them all of 5 seconds to walk outside and find Halloween World.
Like I was talking with the King about it. It's like this is like my favorite trope. It's one of the dumbest, but just how quickly they just run into the monster in the episode. Like, and this one even complains that he didn't even get time to actually do his plan yet.
He didn't even say his name yet, and they were like, "It's Halloween World." It's like, how did you know?
I wonder.
Uh, yeah, just look in a mirror, buddy. But as usual, Hakaiser shows up to protect Halloween World. And so during the fight, the pumpkin on Halloween World's head gets sent flying. And so all the people possessed into candy loving maniacs are restored to normal because his power isn't as strong without his jack o' lantern.
They just can't remove the little paper pumpkin hat.
No, they're stuck on.
Which leads to the major crux of this episode.
It's a treasure hunt for that exact pumpkin. That exact jack o' lantern on Halloween.
Good luck with that.
Uh, so you've got the Zenkaigers who split up to look for it. They tell Zox and the other pirates, who go around legitimately buying all the jack-o'-lanterns they can find and smashing them.
Like I give them credit too because they even called Flint out. It's like, no, you can't go around doing this. It's like, what? We bought them.
Which, like, paid for these. How dare you accuse us of being thieves? Uh, Kaiser goes off looking for it because that's his job. And Stacy isn't sure about this whole teamwork thing that Hakaiser is got going on, but he figures if he finds the jack-o'-lantern first, then he can take credit for it.
He hasn't learned that this thing that has been continuously kicking his ass works.
And Halloween World just hides during all of this.
Not very well.
In a pile of trash. Look, who does he think he is, Jellyshito?
Thank you for making the joke that I was going to.
As soon as I saw that, I knew, like, oh, Vashi is making that exact joke right now.
Like, the best thing about that, I feel, was him trying to play it off. Like, that he wasn't, Halloween World, that he actually legitimately was trash. Followed immediately by the, why are you dancing? Something we haven't gotten in a while.
I forgot about that. Running away, like, why is he dancing? Yeah, Zox and Flint were just kind of looking for buying every pumpkin they could find because the artist depiction that Kaito gave them looked very generic and was not helpful.
Of course. Did we expect anything less?
Meanwhile, Bakawas is pissed that the world can't operate because of a unexpected malfunction. He's like, this makes the world sound dysfunctional or something. And Nijori's like, well, kind of. And Barshitar just finally says what's on their mind. Look, we don't know what their powers do until we activate them.
Right. Like, they know what world it is, they just don't know what the power's gonna do.
Which is interesting. Like, they're going into this almost as blind as anyone else.
Like, it adds a dynamic of basically why the monsters are, terrible at hiding. Because, to figure out what they do, they have to be tested, and, being tested is how they get caught.
Right. So we see some other shots of people looking around, like Majin is trying to use her crystal orb while walking and almost trips, and then Jurin tells her, hey, you shouldn't walk while you're looking at that. And then she continues to so and does trip.
Because, of course, I do like the fact that like she'd walk 2 feet, look at a pumpkin. Walk 2 feet, look at a pumpkin. Like, she's very laser focused.
And because Hakaiser starts looking at some pumpkins on these people's backyard, and they come out, and he's like, oh, sorry for the intrusion. Like, so polite.
Like, this is a point where I'm gonna miss Hakaiser if they completely do away with Hakaiser himself. Because this entire mentality that Hakaiser has is gold, and I love it.
And Kaito runs into Stacy, who's also looking for the jack-o'-lantern. And so Kaito has a question for him, because something that's just been on his mind since he went to Toji Tendo, like, do you like being alone?
Like, I get where this is leading to, given, the scans and shit that we've seen. This was a very nice way to do it in the aspect of it can lead you down either path. To him either teaming up with a Kaiser or teaming up with the Zenkaigers. Because it's quite literally, at either point, he's not alone.
Because, like, Kaido asks him, like, about his relationship with Kaiser and Ijirude, but Stacy just shoves it off. Like, I'm not on their team. I'm just using Ijirude. But Kaido asks him, like, do you want to be alone? Like, if you want to, outdo your father, why not team up with people and do
Mhm.
it? You can accomplish
Right.
so much more together.
Which, if he truly wants to, outdo Tara, join the Zenkaigers because, his downfall is inevitable.
Ugh. Is Stacy gonna live to the end of the show?
I hope so. I really do.
Or is this gonna be a Bare killer again?
Or Nada. He's the right color for Nada.
Uh, so Kaiser finds a pumpkin on a rooftop, and Stacy finds one floating down the river. And Zox finds Halloween World. I just love the walk by and Halloween World is just like, and then they're sitting right in front of him.
Like, and then, he runs away and around a corner and there's Zox just standing there.
And he just like slowly tiptoe by as if he can't be seen.
The sight gags in the show are great.
So Stacy and Kaiser race to Halloween World to return his jack-o'-lantern. And the correct answer is Kaiser. The one that was found on the roof. The pumpkin had been sent flying, so it makes the most sense.
And to be fair, it landed in the river made sense too.
Yeah, but if they, with both of those scenarios in play, like, the one on the roof made more sense.
Right. Being in the middle of the city and all.
So Stacy is feeling pretty bad that he got it wrong. But before Halloween World can actually put his pumpkin on, Zox just shoots it with his gun.
Because of course he does.
So no other choice. He grabs the one Stacy brought and puts that on instead. It's not as good, but it still works. And
Pumpkin is a pumpkin.
Yep. And Kaiser even congratulates Stacy, like, "Hey, that was a good pumpkin you found." And Stacy doesn't know how to feel about this kind of positive reinforcement.
I mean, this is true. That is new for him. We get the dumbest mech fight in history.
You get
And that's saying a lot given this show.
You get the mech fight, and Halloween World summons a bunch of ghosts and goblins and shit. And they realize, like, oh, it's Halloween. We gotta dress up for Halloween. So they kind of grabs a sheet and turns the mech into just a sheet ghost costume. And it's like, hey, we're a ghost too. And so the other spirits leave them alone.
It's so dumb.
Oh.
But the show's doing well because they've not changed a damn thing.
I mean, it plays into the theming of the episode, so it's like, all right, this is more than just a big laser show.
Right. It's like, but 90% of the show is we're just having fun. And the fact that they've done nothing to change the formula of this show shows that it's being well received, at least ratings wise.
While the mech fight is going on, Hakaiser's battery is running low, so he tries to leave. But Juran and the other Kikai noids on the ground are like, no, 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 we're not letting you get away this time. Uh,
and it dashes the plan, the ideas that I had about a Kaiser to start with.
and we even talked about this too, but uh, they keep on him until his last battery drops, and his helmet disappears, and they see the face behind the mask.
So, do you want to know my only issue with this
What's up?
reveal, with the way they did it?
What's up?
It took so long to show it, despite everybody knowing it by this point.
What do you mean? Showing.
His face.
Oh, like you mean the photo at the end?
Well, no, like going through the reveal of Kaiser's face. Because you get from behind the mask coming off, the mask starting to come off from the front, and then the light covering it. Then, their reaction, then it does it from the other side, and the light's still in the way. And then the camera moves, and then it slowly reveals. I was like, that was an unnecessary length of time to do that.
It's just dramatic. Japan loves the whole obscuring the face because who could it be kind of thing, even if you already know who it is.
Even if it could literally only be one other person. That would be like them kicking everybody's ass and Geej being the only one standing, and the final boss shows up and they're like, I wonder who it is.
So,
Like, I give them credit for going this route a little bit because it lets it draw it out a little bit further. And it gives everybody that should we tell him moment.
right. So Ijirude comes in to bring Kaiser back himself. And back at Colorful, Juren makes the call to the others of, like, hey, for right now, let's not tell Kaito. We need to, like, think about this for a minute first.
Like, which is a good idea. Is like, what's, trying to figure out what's the easiest way to tell him that doesn't throw him off the edge.
Right.
He's only got one brain cell and he doesn't have very much restraint.
In fact, I would have expected Jordan to be the one to tell Kaito because he's the most straightforward, but he's also like the one that thinks things through. It's like, yeah, no, we can't tell him just yet.
Which will lead to the great reveal next week.
Yeah, so next episode preview. The monster is stealing everyone's voice or something.
Yeah.
And so the Kikainoids physically cannot tell Kaito.
Like, it sets up it well enough that the way it plays out makes perfect sense. Which, given as asinine as this show can be sometimes, it is really good at that. To the point, like, we don't really question the way things play out.
So yeah, for now, they don't want to open, like, they don't. I just double checked just now. They don't actively say like, "Hey, let's not tell Kaito yet." They just kind of have their own group huddle of like, "That was definitely him, right?" Like they're talking about it amongst each other before they say anything to Kaito.
Right.
So next week, when they actually do want to tell him, like, they can't. And it's going to come into play when Kaito is ready to try and settle things once and for all with Kaiser.
Like, I'm borderline sad that that one's getting resolved faster than the Stacy.
The Stacy one is like the true plot of this show.
Right. Like, I get the Kaiser's a subplot, and I realize that even with Kaito finding out, they could still drag it out.
We would have
To
hoped
the,
that,
you know,
like, we had hoped that Stacy would have, like, gone through his character arc a bit quicker and joined the team by now, but nah, the Stacy arc is gonna be, like, it's gonna be going to the end.
this is going to be the, you know, why Lucky says Lucky all the time. It's going to be that storyline of we're not going to find out until the very end.
Hey, did you know that Lucky was actually like a prince of his planet?
Not until they told us.
And you, what impact did that have on the show?
Not a fucking thing.
Uh,
You had the 2 episodes where he wanted to help out, got crowned king, and then fucked off immediately.
well, to be fair, he did have a galaxy to save, but yeah, no, like nothing really came of that.
Like that was a show of wasted potential. Like, it's not terrible. It's just a lot of wasted potential.
So this was episode 33 or 34.
34.
Uh, so Sentai, we checked it. Is Sentai averaging 45 or 48 episodes?
45.
So we have 3 months left.
Which is about right. Because we won't get the next series until 2022.
No, I'm saying we only have 3 months left.
Right. But we won't, because, which is about right. It doesn't feel like it's this far along. Despite the fact that we've been watching this, you know, for how long now? Well, 34 weeks.
I mean, even if it runs longer and goes to like 48, that like only gives us an extra few weeks.
Right. And we may get a couple preemptings due to holiday schedules.
Right, golf week.
But you want to know what makes me feel like this show hasn't been on as long as it has? The fact that 2 weeks ago we finally got an actual mech. Like, the honest mech. And then again, it doesn't seem like I'm 8 episodes into Revice either. Which, yeah, you need to start watching that show.
I guess it just, yeah, at some point. I guess it just doesn't feel like the stakes have been raised in Zenkaiger. Like, even though we're getting the whole Kaiser plotline, it just doesn't feel like the stakes have been raised.
Right, like, the closest we got to stakes being raised was we need to go find my mother.
And that lasted 2 episodes.
2 episodes and a handful of references. Enough to get the fact that we know they're still looking for her.
I feel like once we get into the final arc, like, the pacing is gonna explode. Because suddenly it's like, alright, now we gotta resolve everything. So, Zox's brothers, Kaiser, Kaito's mom, Stacy, Geeg.
Like, yeah, 100% is like it's gonna hit the last arc, and then it's gonna be full speed, full force. Like it's the only worry I have is I don't want that to feel rushed when it happens. I want them to go if because it seems to be more that they're doing it. I want them to go the Lupin Ranger route, the Lupet route, where yes, everything ramps up really quick at the end,
But it
but it
plays
still
out.
feels just as drawn out, and it's everything pieces together exactly how it should.
I just don't want to get like the one thing that I dislike about Kier Major, which was the big reveal about what was his name?
Yodam,
No, working for him, the king's brother.
Carantula, oh
No, the
Garuza.
Garuza. Yes, I just don't want to get another Garuza.
I have no problem with the Garuza thing. It's just the part that irritated me was the oh well, I'm dead now. Time to help the Kira Majors.
No, the part that entertained me was like you finally find out why he turned evil and betrayed his kingdom.
Yeah, that was kind of crap.
Yeah, I don't want another one of those.
Just time traveling bullshit.
The mechs are the worlds absorbing the world gears. The giant robots, I mean. The, so when it does come time for the to take out Ijirude and Barashitara, they don't have giant forms.
Right.
Unless that's something else Ijirude has been working on.
I have a feeling that that's going to be what they're working on to give, be it Hakaiser while he's still evil, and or in play, and then the others because the way I look at it, the I don't think they have the Sentai worlds. Despite the fact that they've said that they've run into the colored fighters on other planets.
Yeah, I thought that those were gonna come to play as like, oh, here are some like legacy villains, but all we got was that like special
Luck, yeah, we got that special where, um,
super villain world, and so you got
yeah,
to see a few. You got to see a few returning ones, but that was it.
and like, but in my head, he released the villains back into those worlds. Those worlds are out there. Otherwise, they wouldn't have anywhere to go, and they all left. So in my head, they don't have, you know, the 45 Super Sentai worlds,
Unless
or
that's the
well,
ones
44.
that that's the ones that like the Zenkaigers are using.
I don't think I think it's more
No, that doesn't make sense.
just
Now that I
they're just
think
pulling
about
the
it,
power
yeah, that does not make sense now that I think about it.
because to me the most sense makes that his parents made the gears to pull on the power of the heroes. EJ Rude found out about him, found a way to use that same idea to take completely over worlds, but that it didn't but they didn't get the Sentai worlds because by that point they'd gotten rid of the gears. But it's whether or not EJ Rude makes the connection for them to be able to use the Dark World gears to grow themselves.
Speaking of unresolved plot points,
What about Decade?
Zenkai Red.
I feel I would be fine if he never shows up again.
Yeah, like, I wanted him to show up again, but at this point I'm over it.
But at the same time, we also know Toei and we know how endgame Toei is. Like, they'll pull him in for the final fight or something. Or the after movie.
I just really wanted him to be some kind of Akiba Ranger tie-in.
Oh, great.
Because his power was like faith or whatever. It's like, oh, it's
And like the entire power was based on a delusion that Kaito had. Most people call that a dream, but I just realized while the Kiba Ranger gear is legitimate, we're 34 episodes in and haven't seen it yet. Uh, has one of the movies come out yet?
that's what I'm checking right now. But all we've got was the all red one.
No, let's see. That theatrical was in July. The Saber Zenkaiger Superhero Senkai.
Oh.
Comes out on DVD in December.
What was the plot of that? It continues that storyline from the crossover.
Yeah.
And that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bunch of past Rider and Reds show up, but
Yeah. Hongo shows up. Momotachi, to include owner. Kosei Kogami, Sogo Tokiwa, Omazeo, and Aruto. And then Sentai is Aka Ranger, Kruger, Chiaki Tiani, Raptor 283, Chevron Poe, and Shigeru. And then the guests, Shotaro Ishinomori, Asmodeus, Sentai McGee, Rider World, Revy, and Vice show up.
but nothing that'll tie into the actual plot of Zenkaiger.
Right.
So, Avatara Sentai Dawn Brothers.
On a side note, I have to watch this movie because I just realized who somebody was.
Something important for Saber?
No, returning Kamen Rider and their allies. Kyosei Kogami. Happy birthday! Cake Boss from Oz. If he doesn't say happy birthday at least once, I would be very disappointed and will boycott the movie.
I mean, he has to. Why else would you... But yeah, Dawn Brothers.
What the fuck? Like, so there are two running ideas for that, and unfortunately yours seems to be more accurate.
What did I say?
You called it what was it? Rough Rowdy Boys or something like that?
Oh, the Rowdy Rough Boys.
Or, as the internet's been calling it, Sun Vulcan Part 2.
Part 3.
Okay, well, I don't know what Part 2 was.
I don't remember either. It might have been Live Man.
Like, from what I've read, people are pissed off because it just seems like it's going to be an all-male cast.
Yeah. Live Man was Sun Vulcan Part 2. It was an homage to. See, it was like 10 years after Sun Vulcan, I think, and so it was an homage to that show. And so it only had the 3 team members, and executives kind of made them add 2 extra ones. And it's actually what started the whole mechs combining together thing because they gave Black and Green their own mech that was basically just a box so that it could easily like come apart to attach to the main mech. And so like that was the origin of the mechs combining together. And so it was really popular. So like they started doing the like each team member has their own mech that combine together.
Living in a box. But the other one is the other idea is the fact that it could be more just a romanization of Avatar.
Right, because their accent, so how they pronounce certain words.
Right, and that's how they would pronounce Avatar. Because most R ending words end with an O, unless it's like in ER.
So, uh, so yeah, we either got a virtual reality thing or we got another Sun Vulcan.
I'm okay with the VR Troopers. I'm okay with VR Trooper Sentai.
Now, just because it's called Dawn Brothers doesn't mean it's gonna be an all-male cast.
And with it being called Dawn Brothers, it doesn't actually have to mean anything.
Like,
Because seriously, what the fuck does Zenkaiger mean?
like the '80s Sentai, like Live Man, Bioman, Flash Man, Change
Dynaman.
Man, Dynaman, like yeah, they all end in man, but they still had female members on their team.
And none of it really had anything to do with the theme outside of Changeman.
Sun Vulcan was the only all-male team. Even Live Man, which was an homage to it, made Blue a girl.
Like, this is that point where like the rumors start getting spun and everybody acts like a jackass. Like, this is where everybody starts, the rumor spill and everybody gets pissed off at the rumors.
I mean, to be fair though, Kia Ranger was a 9-member team and only had 2 females.
Yeah, I'm
And even
not arguing that.
when it got promoted to a 12-member team, it still only had the 2 females.
And only one of them was humanesque.
But yeah, no, even just because it's called Dawn Brothers, I don't believe it'll be an all-male team. There,
I don't either, because while yes, the toys are more focused towards boys, they understand that, you know, siblings and shit watch this stuff together. So let's gear some towards the girls too. At least Toei at least does have that common sense.
now, similar like Zenkaiger only has 1 female on its team. I'm expecting that again. Just another like, oh, there's only 1 female.
Right, like going the rear soldier route. I'm fine with it. I would like to see more female representation in Sentai. I get why it doesn't seem to happen, because it's Japan.
Women are supposed to stay at home and raise the children.
Or work in an office, go out and drink beer. Or at least that's what I garner from, every slice of life adult anime that has females in it.
Work in an office until they get married, and then they stay home and raise the children.
In defense, isn't that what several of the female Sentai members have actually done?
Yeah, because that's how it is in Japan. That's how it
Right,
works.
like they quite literally made a show about it. Sentai moms.
Deca Yellow, both I think want to say in real world and on show, got married and retired.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Anything else?
not that pertains to Zenkaiger or Sentai.
I'm a bit too tired, so I don't really feel like talking about Ryder right now.
I only have one thing to mention after but I'll do it after the podcast.
All right. So thanks for joining us today, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you all for listening.